What's up, guys? So there is a new private server coming up which is called Netherwing, and I just want to give you guys my thoughts about the private server. Is it worth playing there? Should you consider playing there? And why, in my opinion, I think that it's worth playing there. So the new Netherwing server is coming up. It's a new private server which focuses solely on the Burning Crusade content, and as you guys know, Burning Crusade private servers are scarce. So the recent one was Sunwell TBC, which basically was rather a mess, to say the least. And yeah, this one is another TBC server, which in my opinion does most of the things right. So first of all, why should you play on a new private server when Classic WoW is coming in summer? So this is just a simply statement for me. So there's a huge possibility that Blizzard will fuck up their classic launch. You cannot trust Activision Blizzard anymore. They already included non-Blizz-like features like sharding. They said they would include sharding just only for the starting zones, but come on, man, who says they don't include this for other zones as well? So this is one red flag. Another red flag is the loot sharing. You all guys maybe have read the article on Kotaku that Blizzard is cutting costs at every possible corner, and therefore they want to decrease the amount of game masters, and thus they included loot sharing, because it's easier to just share the loot than just rather talk to a game master and say, hey, what is this shit? Can you just pass this loot to a friend of mine or whatever? So you can just trade loot. Another red flag. It may happen that this classic server will turn out to be somewhat great, even, right? But there is a huge possibility that this server will fail, and thus I think it's time to reach for other possible solutions, and there Netherwing comes into place. Unlike Northdale, this server doesn't have a deadline, so you all know about the classics private server Northdale, which is pretty much dead when it comes to June. Although of course there may be some happenings there that some stuff says, hey, yeah, Classic WoW isn't doing that great. We will release another private server. We can all just speculate, but this server doesn't have a deadline, so this is good. And also, this is just another expansion. So it's not only that you play not only Classic WoW here, but you can just play on a good private server, on a good Burning Crusade private server, that is. So I want to talk about Netherwing a little bit more in depth. So Netherwing was in development for, I think, 2.5 years now, just short of 3 years, and it's based on the Atlantiss developer team, and they basically run a Cataclysm server for like 5 years now, I believe. And they just announced the private server, the Burning Crusade private server. I think it was 2.5 years ago, if I remember correctly. So they took a very long time to develop their TBC private server, and the release date is due on the 4th of January. So it's roughly 2 weeks from now on that this server is released. Its current state is on open beta, so you can create an account there. You can test the dungeons, you can test the raids. You have everything at your expense. You can have every item available for testing purposes, which is pretty decent. You can also tell the GMs, hey, can you just downgrade me to level 1 again, and you can test the old zones as well. And yeah, so there is a unofficial Netherwing timeline. Please keep in mind that this is not an official timeline, it's just unofficial. The only thing that is a given is the release date, and the server starts with a 2.0, so it's a patch progression server. Yeah, you can basically see here that all the dungeons are basically available, and the big thing here is the 2.0 itemization. The 2.0 itemization, so everything is in the pre-nerf state. All the level 70 epics didn't have their stats upgraded, so it's supposed to be very challenging, which is very good in my opinion that they did that. This is a huge plus for me. Also, just small information about the communication they have. So they have very good communication. So you can see it here on the service. How would you rate the service so far? Most of the people saying, yeah, it's quite good. Even like roughly 20% said it's perfect. And how would you rate our communication with the community so far? It's like that 80 or even 90% said it's quite good to perfect. So that is one thing I encountered, that they include the community via their forums, via their active Discord. They have a very active Discord where they put in a huge changelog for the beta, which with every fixes they did, which is very good. They include the community on basically every decision they made, which is also a big plus for me. And yeah, so this is a very good indicator that this could be another good indicator that could be a good TBC private server. So yeah, as I said, this is the server is basically in open beta right now. They include some major fixes like a charge. So basically see it once in a while when you're playing on different private servers that you can charge basically through everything, even though there isn't a scripted path there, which in some cases looks just ridiculous. So they fixed that. They fixed pet AI. They fixed AoE spells cap. They fixed spell queue. And there is no multi-boxing allowed on this server, which is again a huge plus for me. Of course, multi-boxing was a thing back in the day, don't get me wrong, but I think it somewhat ruins the game, and it's not just fun to play and fun to watch. And yeah, so they focused mainly on the Atlantiss, of course, but don't get me wrong here. They fixed everything in Azeroth also, except for the raids. So they didn't focus on the raids, which in my opinion isn't that huge of a deal, because you're playing in the Outlands anyway. So this is no big deal. And the recent thing they did, which I found to be very cool, they implemented new nodes for herbalism and for mining. You often see these like 5 nodes in one spot when you're playing on a private server, right? So this isn't really Blizz-like, and they really tackled this issue. But I think this needs to be tested more, so this is not in their final state yet. One thing about the server though, so it's a ×1 server. It's a ×1 server, but they consulted with the community, and this server now has a doubled rested XP rate, and also the rested amount that you can accumulate was increased to 300%. So basically, Blizz-like was 150%. Now it's 300%. The maximum amount of rested XP you can accumulate, and the rested XP bar fills up double time, but only for levels 1 to 57. So it's basically to make leveling in Azeroth a little bit more convenient. Also, if you're playing in a group and you need to kill some mobs or some items, whatever, there is shared loot, shared quest item loot in place, only again for levels 1 to 57. So this again makes leveling in Azeroth a little bit more convenient, which in my opinion is totally fine, because I've leveled on so many private servers, classic private servers. I know every quest there is when it comes to Horde, and dude, I personally, I don't mind this at all if they don't include this in Outlands as well, which they said they will not do. Another big thing is, which I think is pretty good, they will implement a faction queue, because Burning Crusade has this huge imbalance in terms of factions. So basically, like, to say that there's like an 80-20 ratio towards Horde. So they will implement a faction queue at around, I think it's not set in stone yet, but I think it's like 55 to 60%. So then when you want to play Horde, you have to wait a little bit. It depends on the amount of players that are currently active. So take this in mind and just play Alliance like I do. Then you have basically no faction queue. And so all in all, I decided to stop playing on Northdale because I really don't like rushing through the content, because I mean, as they said, the server is basically a deadline, and they just want to rush out all the content. And I think early January there is even the AQ pre-patch coming, and a month after that AQ will open. And this is basically a no-go for me. You just have to raid basically every fucking day if you're in a non-hardcore guild, that is. It isn't fun anymore. That's basically the thing, and that's why I quit Northdale. Because to me, it's not fun to just rush through the content, to every dungeon, to every raid. And then I started deciding on what to do next. And yeah, I took a deep look into this Netherwing project. I'm in the Discord. It's a very good community. No toxic people, as from what I've could gather, and the developers have good communication with their peeps. And yeah, they're fixing basically every day. There are some major hot fixes. There are some major bug fixes in terms of questing, in terms of lore, in terms of spells, in terms of mechanics, which in my opinion is super good. And it just looks very, very good. When I saw this charge video, for example, and the AoE spells cap video, I was totally amazed. They also implemented a spell queue system, which is supposed to be working just fine. And yeah, so I think, in my opinion, this is a very good server to play on if you want to have a good Burning Crusade experience with 2.0 itemization at the start, pre-nerfed content. I saw lots of streams when they raided SSC, they raided Karazhan, they did heroics, and dude, these things are fucking hardcore, man. They are fucking hardcore. So everything is in a pre-nerf state, and you know the heroics are pretty damn tough, man. Everything is a pre-nerf state. You will have a good challenge playing this game, and I don't know. So regarding the timeline, I don't know when patch 2.1 will come out. Probably not for like 2 to 3 months, I guess. So we'll have like 2 month full hardcore mode, playing all the dungeons, all the heroics. You have to get attuned. You have to gather your keys, which will be pretty cool. And yeah, so in my opinion, if you want to play on a good private server, on a good Burning Crusade private server, you can definitely play on Netherwing. I will certainly do, and then I will see when it comes to summer if I will play on the classic server from Blizzard. Depending if it's good or not. I mean, loot trading and sharding are definitely two big flags. So if they would implement the WoW token as well, I would definitely be not playing this game. And but yeah, then I still can play on Netherwing. So I don't want to shill here for this particular server here. I just thought I'd give you my sincere thoughts about the server. And yeah, if there's anything you want to know as well, you can just leave me. You can just toss us a comment down below. If you have any questions, I might be able to answer. I will leave the link for the server, for the forums, and for the Discord as well in the description. So if you want to check them out, it's a really nice community there with decent people. They're helping everybody out. If they have questions, they're getting answered and whatever. So yeah, these are just my 2 cents on the topic, and thanks for watching, guys. See you again really soon. Take care.